Welcome to CVTC. My name is Keith Stearns and I'm the High School Academy Specialist here at CVTC. And I am going to guide you through the beginning of your Academy class with our institution. We are excited to have you here. Want you to think about this and what grade are you in right now? Well, you could be a sophomore, you could be a freshman, you could be a junior or senior in high school, but actually you're all college students now, and we want to tell you you belong and welcome. We're glad to have you as part of CVTC. Now there are some things you don't have to worry about. If you were a regular freshman in college living in the dorms, you might have a little different experience and some things you might have to worry about. One thing is you don't have to worry about death by ramen noodles. You also don't have to worry about the freshman 15. You know what that is? A lot of freshmen gain 15 pounds. I think it's from the cafeteria food. And you also don't have to worry about that creepy roommate, unless you already have one, which there's not much we can do about that. But the purpose of this little short video is to get you oriented towards the academy class that you'll be taking. Now there are some real benefits to these classes. One is that you get to see that you can do college work, and that's a cool thing to see. Another one is the price is right. It's not costing you or your parents any more money to take these classes, unless some districts have a policy if you don't pass the course or courses that you have to reimburse the district. But otherwise, the classes don't cost anything to you and your parents, and that's pretty cool. Now we have a lot of different academies at CVTC, and they vary in credits. CNA has 3 credits. Our College Transfer Academy has 28 credits, and we have some various healthcare ones that are a number of credits too. Now when I think of the price is right, I actually think of this guy rather than the other guy, because that's back more in my time period. Some things I want you to consider with college. College is a choice. I mean, you don't have to be in this academy, these classes, and our standards are high. This is a college class, and you want to consider those kind of things. And as an adult, you're responsible for your choices and your success. As an adult, or moving towards adulthood anyway, we're responsible for our choices and our success. So we want to take ownership for those things either way. And you'll be expected to read quite a bit. So you want to make sure that you do that and you keep up with your classes. The other thing I want you to understand is that grades will follow you, and the grade that you make in this class will actually follow you on your college transcripts as you move forward in your academic life, even after high school. So that's important to understand. Let's talk a little bit about time management. And we're going to need to schedule study time and be mindful of time wasters. So what are some of your time wasters? Think about that for a second if you would. Is it Netflix? Is it your phone? Those kind of things. You may have to make some adjustments. And when we look at studying for classes, for every hour you spend in class, you want to consider having at least 1 to 3 hours outside of class studying, is the general rule, depending on the class. Look at putting together a study schedule. And you should receive a student handbook which has a study schedule on the back. But you want to make sure that you look at what you're doing and look at the time that you have and budget that appropriately. Limiting complex subjects to an hour and periods of memorization to 20 or 30 minutes are some good standards to think about. So as you put together your study schedule, put your life first. Put your class times in, your study times, as I said, for every hour in class. 1 to 3 hours studying is a general rule. And then put in your work times and then use that schedule. Use it to help you. And you can put it on your phone, you can put it on paper, however you like to do it, but I would consider having a study schedule. To avoid distractions, what are some of our distractions? Well, our phone could be that. Television, the internet. We want to avoid those, especially while we're studying. And I would suggest that you turn your phone off. Here's a little challenge. Maybe your friends don't think you're able to turn off your phone while you're studying. Did you realize there's a magical thing there called the off button? Well, your response would be to that they underestimate your power. You're able to do that. You can turn off your phone while you're studying and focus solely on that. So that would be something that you would consider, turning that phone off, making sure you're not browsing the internet, because you know how that works. Somebody Snapchats you or some other way on your phone, and then you're distracted. Let's talk about 3 areas that successful students display in college or high school. And I'm just going to use that from Yoda. If you know who Yoda is from Star Wars, he's going to give you a little advice here. And here's what Yoda says, that successful students are tuned in. That means that you're listening to what's going on, especially when your teacher is giving you instructions and giving you homework assignments, those kind of things. You want to make sure you're really tuned in, you're taking good notes, and you're listening to what's going on. And Yoda would say that patience you must have, my young Padawan. It's not always going to be super exciting in every class. Our classes are really good, they are exciting, but sometimes it's easy to tune out, and when successful students are tuned in. The second thing is to be goal-oriented. And this is important for students in high school academies. And when I say goals, most students usually think about just grades, but that's not just what we're talking about. We're also talking about maybe it's asking questions in class. Maybe it's putting together a study schedule and sticking with it. There could be all kinds of goals. And this is what Yoda would say about that. No, try not, do or do not. There is no try. So we need to be goal-oriented and move forward. And the third one, and probably the most important one that I want you to think about, is this one. It's to be proactive. Because in high school, many times, you have a lot of people that are guiding you, and they're telling you need to do this by this date, you need to do that. In college, you need to be proactive. If you need to help with something, you need to reach out to your instructor, or reach out to the high school academy specialist, or call the 800 number at CVTC, and need to be proactive in those kind of things. And this is what Yoda would say. And I think sometimes we're not proactive because we don't have confidence in ourselves. But Yoda says, size matters not. Look at me, judge me by my size, do you? So don't let those insecurities or things hold you back. For example, if you have an IEP, you need to let your instructor know if you want special accommodations with that. And just a final thought from Yoda. You want to know the difference between the master and the beginner? The master has failed more times than the beginner has ever tried. And I think that's really true. We need to be moving forward and not look at things as failures, but look at them as learning experiences. Let's talk a little bit about some of the areas that you're supported from in this academy. You're in the center here, and we have a number of ways that we can support you and help you at CVTC. One is obviously your first line of defense is your instructor, and establishing great communication with your instructor or instructors in these academies. We also work with the high schools, and we'll be working with your counselor as far as if there's any additional help needed for students. And then we have what's called the HSAS, which is me, the High School Academy Specialist, and I'm sort of like a principal/counselor for all of these academies that we have. So you can work with me or ask me for support and help. And then we have all of CVTC services. So you are covered with these academy support resources that are available. I do have weekly check-ins with instructors where I actually have them fill out a survey and they let me know what's going on in all your classes. And So that's a way that I keep track of what's going on with these academies. And we do have what's called a early alert system at CVTC. So if a student's grade is below a C minus, I ask an instructor to send out an early alert, and the student will be receiving a phone call and probably a letter from CVTC, and also some communication from either myself or their counselor to try to help them improve their grade. Other services available at CVTC. We have academic advising and student success, and basically you can call the 800 number at CVTC and get a hold of an academic advisor. They can help you, explain programs to you, and all kinds of things involved with that. We also have academic services. We have study skills and test preparation, tutoring services, and some free online services that you can access through CVTC also. And you can call the 800 number to find out more about those areas. And we also have disability services. So if you have an IEP or you need some special accommodations, disability services will help you and help you move forward in those areas. Let's talk a little bit about the student handbook, which is actually online, that you can find that. And if you get into my CVTC and you look on the right hand side, there's a quick link, and that will take you to the student handbook. And here's some important pages for you. Page 171 has some information about technology resources. Page 188, student success. There's also maps to various CVTC locations. If you need that, you can write in your schedule. And then the back cover is what I want to talk about also. So if you need technology help, you just need to get to page 171 either online or in a written handbook. And this is where, if you have any problems logging into my CVTC or anything like that, you can certainly contact me, but I will just give you this number, 715-830-5555, and that is to our IT service desk, and they can help you get logged in or anything having to do with technology issues. So they would be the people to call. The back cover talks about Student Central, which I mentioned other services a little bit earlier. You can call Student Central at 715-833-6200 or 1-800-547-2882, and they can get you in touch with an advisor or disability services or tutoring or that kind of thing. You also have received or will receive a student handbook, an academy handbook, which is just for academy students. And you should take a look at some of these pages here. Page 3, it talks about communication in the course, making sure you communicate well with the instructor, and you can certainly contact me if you need help. I mentioned what early alerts are. If students' grades fall below a C minus, then I ask instructors to submit an early alert, and that means you'll be contacted, the student will be contacted to try to help them be more successful. I usually try to meet with students or have the counselor meet with them, and we looked at putting together a success plan where that student can be more successful in the class. And I've also talked about CVTC services. We're going to talk a little bit about dropping courses, and then the last page of the Student Academy Handbook, you need to detach that and just fill it in and actually show this handbook to your parents. And you can give that last sheet. You'll see you'll just need to sign it and have a parent sign it and then return it back to the instructor, and they will get it to me. So the last page of the handbook, you'd want to sign it, get it back to the instructor, and the instructor will get that back to me. So this is what a student success plan might look like if we do a written one, where we actually have you talk about completing assignments or changing some behaviors or that kind of thing with a class. If you're going to drop a class, you have to submit a drop form, and normally that would go back through your counselor at your high school, and this is what that form looks like. Obviously, we want you to stay in the academy, but sometimes circumstances arise where we do need to drop that. So we would get you to drop form, you would get it back to your counselor, and they would get it to us. Let's just talk a little bit about the enrollment process and a little bit more about dropping classes and that kind of thing. There are some things you need to think about that. Now, you've already registered for the course, obviously, but CVTC registration takes care of getting all those things together. And if you do need to withdraw from a course, you want to do that within 75% of the completion of the course. Once we hit that 75% mark, it begins to affect grades and that kind of thing. And if you drop before that period, you would get a W on your transcript, which means that your GPA is not affected. If you dropped after that time, you would get whatever grades you have in the class. And so that's important. You don't want your GPA to be affected in a negative way. Also, you need to understand that if you do drop a course, you may be responsible to pay for it, if that is your school policy, and you would have to check with your school to find out what their policy is. We talked a little bit about grades, but your grades in this class do affect your permanent academic record, and that's an important thing to think about and would go forward on your college transcript from here on in. To be in good academic standing at CVTC, you have to maintain a 2.0 term GPA and a 2.0 cumulative GPA. A term would be, for example, a semester. Cumulative would be the entire time you've been there. It could be multiple semesters, which is, you want to maintain a C or higher, basically. As far as transcripts go, you can order them through SIS on our public website. We do encourage students that have taken academy classes to really look at coming to CVTC, as we can jumpstart you into some programs here and you can move forward much faster because you already have credits. So that's important to think about also. We do have a FERPA release form that your instructor is going to give you, or that you receive from me. And when you get that, you need to fill it out and return it either to your instructor. Probably your instructor would be the best place to get that. But basically that gives us the right to speak with your parents and to communicate information about them, about your grades or attendance or any other thing related to the academy. We can't actually, as a college, talk with your parents unless we have a signed FERPA form from you giving us permission and you've given them a code on the form. We also, we can, however, talk with your school counselor and they can talk with your parents, so just be aware that that is something that we can do if we don't have the code or we don't have a FERPA form from you. So if you have any questions, just contact us or contact your instructor. So what you need to do is release that, complete that form, return it to your instructor, and that would be the process here for that. I did want to mention just real quickly about parking. If you log into My CVTC and you look over on the right hand side, you'll see under resources and tools you can register your vehicle for parking. So if you are taking an academy at a CVTC location, not your high school, you'd want to register for parking. For example, if you were at CVTC Eau Claire at the Health Education Center, or in Chippewa Falls at CVTC at our facility there, you'd want to make sure and register your vehicle for parking. It's a pretty simple process. We don't have parking tags that you put in your vehicle, we just have you register them. I also just wanted to mention that there's a staff directory at this website address, and you can find that on CVTC's website, where you can look up the last name, first name of staff. So hopefully that would be helpful. So thank you so much for watching this short video on CVTC Academies. We're excited to have you here, And if you have any questions, make sure and either contact me or contact Student Central. And my number is 715-831-7259. Thank you.